Today we're going to put together greens and beans. It's Nikki's grandfather's greens and beans. We call it on our menu. It's something my father put together when we used to have a little excess of kale and beans and stuff, and it's just a really good appetizer. It sells real good for us. It's absolutely fabulous to eat. So what we have here is we have some butter. We have olive oil. I forgot the olive oil. First we start with olive oil. Olive oil, butter, fresh chopped garlic. We have fresh basil, fresh parsley, Italian parsley, pecorino romano cheese, salt and pepper mixed together, collagen chicken broth, fresh chopped kale, and cantonelli beans, great northern beans. Furman's makes the best, so that's what I would advise you to get. And right here we have our homemade bread. This is going to be our little bread bowl when we're ready. We make this in-house. We just push it down a little bit just to make the bowl. Then we're going to bake it in the oven. While I put this together on the stove top, I have my oven preheated to about 400 degrees, so it's going to save me time to get it in the oven. So we're going to start with a little olive oil. I have a thin pan. I love these pans. They're old, but they're the best. So I started with olive oil, and then I'm going to add my butter. Was the julienne onions. That's where we're going to get a lot of our flavor, but there it is there. They're going to go in the pan first. We're going to melt our butter down in our olive oil. That's going to melt together. Use a lot of butter in this if you want to save some calories. You want it a little more healthy because it's actually a healthy dish if you didn't use so much butter. You can substitute chicken broth for that. That would definitely save a lot of calories, but for flavor, I like the butter and the olive oil mixed together. So we're going to lash our onions in there first. We're going to cook them down a little bit. I like to get the butter and the onions to the point where they're almost brown before I add any more ingredients. So we're going to start there. At home probably isn't near as good as this or as hot as this, so give yourself a little more time than I'm giving myself. When we get to the point where those onions are just about translucent and brown, we're going to add our garlic. You have to be patient with this because you really need them to be at the right point before you add any other ingredients. This is where you're going to sweat all that flavor out of those onions. You're going to kind of caramelize them. You're going to get all the sugars out of them. Really taste nice and sweet. Just keep moving in there. You don't want them to stick. You don't want them to get to the point where they're burned. So the next few steps are going to be a little bit quicker because, again, you don't want anything to burn, but you want it to cook all together. You want one flavor. You don't want any distinct flavors. So I got them to where they're just starting to brown. I'm going to add the garlic next. We're going to get that to the point where it's going to just about brown. The onions are going to get a little bit darker, and then we'll know when to add the rest of our ingredients. So they all should be browned together. Onions cook much quicker. Garlic will burn. If garlic burns, you're going to get a bitter taste. Everything's starting to brown, the butter's getting brown. When the butter browns, you'll almost get a nutty flavor out of it. Okay, we're ready for our next ingredient, which is kale. And this isn't going to take long. Kale doesn't take long to cook. As a matter of fact, you don't want to cook all the nutrition out of the kale. You're almost just going to heat it. Of course, we're going to add our parsley and basil. We don't want that to burn. We're going to incorporate all these ingredients together. Then we're going to add our beans. Now this is probably enough for 5 people as a side. It's actually really good to do this for a lot of different things. You can almost make a soup out of it, put more broth in it, and you can make cook it down and make it a little bit thicker. You can use it for pasta. It's absolutely fabulous in pasta. So we're going to throw the salt and pepper in there now. Starts getting a little tight. You want to thin it out with the collagen chicken broth. That's where I go with it. Now I'm just going to put this down now. Get it all good and hot just to get that magic flavor together. Doesn't take long at all. As long as your stove is hot or you're patient with it. With not a hot stove, it's good. Nice big slice of Italian bread. Push it down. Put it on a steel plate so I can brown these. The beans are good, and greens and beans and the bread is going to go in the oven together. Now we got it to that point, it's all hot. We're going to add half our cheese to this. All these ingredients that we're using, you know, you're going to use it to your discretion, to your flavor. I know my father used to say, I don't want to know how much, just tell me what's in it, because of course everybody's flavor is different. And once I get that cheese in there and it's all incorporated all in one, I'm going to shut the heat off. I'm going to put some cheese on top. Then we're going to use our maple breadcrumbs. This is going to give it a nice brown finish. Then we're going to take our pan and we're going to put that in our hot oven along with our bread. So that oven is just over 400. It's a conventional oven which cooks quicker. I would say a regular conventional oven, I would cook it, preheat it to 450 and put the bread and the greens and beans in, I'm going to say, for maybe 5 minutes. That should brown it all just nice. Now we're just waiting for that to bake. Now when you do that, you can cut this part out.
This is all cut.
Right
Yep. Yep. That's why I can click the side button and it'll highlight it. So I know on the computer. Yep. Yeah. Isn't that cool?
It's real cool.
Yeah.
The cool thing is I don't want to learn that. I just want you to learn.
Yeah, just do it. Okay.